Welcome everyone to Northwest Digital News. I'm Kevin Hunter with Nigel Postings, and we're here at the Smartsheet Engage Summit. That's the 2018 Smartsheet Engage event. And Nigel, before we get started, talking a little bit about analytics, which is really your wheelhouse, share with people a little bit of your background, because you and some of your partners in your startup have spent a fair number of years with Microsoft and other major players. Talk about that background a little bit, and then share what you're doing with your startup organization.
Okay. So you're trying to say we're old?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yes, been around the block.
Yeah. So three of the founding partners were 40 years Microsoft between us, and then also all three of us have worked with the Big Four. So my background is 11 years with Microsoft, and then 5 years with KPMG before going into the kind of startup world. Mm-hmm. And likewise, my colleagues have come from Microsoft and Deloitte and KPMG as well. So we've got a good, well-rounded experience. And we all bring different parts of the company as well.
That's a beautiful thing, and one of the really interesting conversations I have with business people is actually encouraging exactly what you're talking about, is those different perspectives. Sometimes even if you have similar kinds of experiences or organizations you've worked with, at least having that diverse background, because it makes you much stronger, in my opinion, as a whole, instead of what I sometimes see business people do, or people who form partnerships. They're looking for somebody who's very much what I would call a mini-me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so instead of having that diversity, they're looking for sameness. So I'd have to say, just from what you shared with me, that's actually one of the strengths that you guys have.
All right.
So let's talk about your startup. What made you guys decide to get together, create a startup, and working on the products and services that you are?
Yeah, so we kind of focus on kind of three main areas. You know, we consulted with customers doing things manually using Excel spreadsheets, and then we got pretty savvy at thinking if we could build an artificial intelligence to bring in and look at disparate sets of data, mm-hmm. we can start to solve the problem, one, more quickly, mm-hmm. two, hopefully more accurately, and so to really look at the real challenges that the business are facing. Mm-hmm. So that was a kind of the premise for this. We're kind of focused in three areas. One is very much around customer acquisition, so in the B2B world, mm-hmm. so we can help Microsoft channel partners or other channel partners identify the right customers, especially for things like cloud technology. We can also help when we're looking at things like research, understand the landscape of not only your business but your competitors. Mm-hmm. Then lastly, we do some work around research, mm-hmm. so bringing in lots of sort of data to position to give findings about what companies see from their surveys, so they can act quickly and to improve things like customer experience. Mm-hmm. So one
of the handicaps that a lot of business people have is not really understanding how to use analytics properly, mm-hmm. and therefore focusing their marketing efforts. Explain how you can be helpful to that end.
So in all of those examples, so one, a lot of people struggle, and back to the question about Microsoft and KPMG coming from disparate ways to different ways. One thing I've learned with my time working for KPMG is you come at the problem from the business problem first of all, and technology is kind of enabler. Mm-hmm. When I was at Microsoft, it's more the technology, and then you're looking for the business problem. So mm-hmm. kind of flipped, and I think the whole world's flipping now in terms of, okay, we need to sell to the business. Technology is enabler. Mm-hmm. So to answer the question, we're using lots of different data to give a 360-degree view around any type of problem. Mm-hmm. The problem could be, who are your next customers? Where are they on their journey for any given scenario? Whether they're moving to cloud services, whether it's a data center migration in the technology world, we can help position those customers and prioritize. So you've got limited resources, mm-hmm. so you can focus your marketing and salespeople on the right customers at the right time, and then with the right message. Mm-hmm. That's the goal of the AI engine we developed.
Yeah, so how do you access the data that really helps you focus, understanding, what kind of customers they should be going after, where those customers are at various stages of development? How do you get your hands on the data that really helps you put that analytics together?
No, great question. So I think there's kind of 5 data points. Mm-hmm. Number one, we partner with a company that provides a lot of, we call it technographic data. Mm-hmm. So we can look at any given customer's journey to the cloud, what type of services are they using. Mm-hmm. That's all public, anyone can get to it, but with the right tools and processes, we can get there quicker. Second, we use standard firmographic data that sort of tells me where a customer is in terms of their revenue, how many number of employees, the industry they're in. Mm-hmm. That's the baseline. That's how we sort of prioritize customers in the first place.
Sure.
Then we start to enrich with what we call our Bizcise engine, where we can bring in lots of different signals around the customer, who they're talking to, who they're partnering with, what their customers are saying, what their workforce is saying. Again, all externally available. Then two other pieces of data we use occasionally, depending on the scenario, is we can use customers' own data. So they can look at things like licensing position, are they consuming data from historical data they have around the customer.
Right.
Then finally, sometimes we can take in qualitative data where we can interview experts around a given industry or customer that can then really round out a rich experience to say, okay, that's the customer, that's the message, and that's who we're going to talk to.
That's so hugely valuable because I think about, especially as fast moving as today's business world is, time is not on your side. And so learning how to manage time more effectively is vitally important. Likewise, when you talk about cash resources, those are always limited. And you want to make sure that you're focusing them and using them as smartly and as intelligently as possible. And I see so much of what organizations do from a marketing perspective that they just completely miss the mark. I've actually done entire shows where there's been myself and other business people sitting around the table, and we've looked at various launches of marketing programs out there, and we've been asking the question, who's the target customer here? What are kind of the demographics as far as age? What other things can we learn about this customer they're trying to target that comes from their marketing or advertising effort? And it's just amazing how many times you can't figure out any of that information from the marketing effort put out, and you're going, I wonder if they realize they're completely missing the mark here.
Yes, yeah. And then again, things like industry knowledge as well, and where those customers are on their journey. So we bring all that together in a way that we're using today Power BI to expose a dashboard for customers, but quite easily we can export that data into their system of choice. So when they have their own pipeline tools, we can provide that data in real time. And our goal as Bizcise is to continually provide that data on an ongoing basis. So it's real time. It's a real time marketing and sales dashboard.
I'm a long-time user of Excel spreadsheets, charts, data. Power BI, as it's been described to me, is essentially Excel on steroids. Explain to people what that tool is and how they could be using it in their own organization.
So we just, with Power BI, we bring in lots of disparate data, and then we can, using our own technology, our own algorithms, sort of sort the data into the way that the customer wants to consume. Now we say where we use Power BI, we're very customizable with a small c.
Right.
So we can really tie into the right business problem. So if you're looking at data around what leadership's saying, are you looking at M&A signals around the client? So Power BI just enables you to manipulate the data in the way that you want to consume it. And then it can be exported very easily, as I said before, into a system of choice. Very graphical, and it is. Another example, so I mentioned one of our business models is research. So we found out that in a typical research project you have open-ended questions. So we can take lots of data and then present it, and then using Power BI on the fly to someone who customized or sent that survey out in the first place. So they can see where the real problem areas are straight away through the Power BI interface.
You're helping people focus, better use their time and focus their people resources and their time resources more effectively.
Exactly.
How does somebody get a hold of you who has questions?
So I think I've left my email address is Nigel Postings at Bizcise.com. I think that's on the screen today. Please email. We'll be happy to sort of understand what the challenges you're facing and how we can help you and how we can help you quickly. With AI and Power BI, we're about speed and efficiency and customization.
The website is Bizcise.
Bizcise.com.
BIZCISE.com.
Yes.
Outstanding. Well, thanks for joining us, Nigel. A real pleasure.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody who joined us on Twitch TV, on Patreon, on YouTube, on our Facebook page and Facebook group. Hope you love the content, and reach out to Nigel and his group if you have questions about analytics.